Rogue Record.
What's up, everybody? You're listening to Hustle Makes It Happen, a podcast about the grit, determination, and the mindset it takes to become a winner. Success is not an accident. It lives outside your comfort zone, in the trenches, where excuses are met by brick walls. So strap in, tighten up, and let's get ready to hustle. Guess what? It's season 3.
Season 3, baby.
Come on. Thank you, everybody that has hit the play button for us for the last 2 seasons. This is episode 1, season 3.
That's it, baby. I can't believe we've been blessed enough and been fortunate enough to continue this into a 3rd season. We started in season 1 with this idea, saw some success there. We plowed through season 2, and we were able to generate enough success in season 2, not because of anything that we did, but because people are finding value in the content that we're putting out and hitting play every week. And if it weren't for you guys hitting play every week, this would be all in vain. It'd be for nothing.
We're just 2 guys sitting in a black room.
That's it, bro. Just talking to each other.
Unless everybody behind that camera watches.
That's it, man. Super thankful for all that. We'll catch y'all with all the normal podcast stuff at the end. I don't want to waste any time jumping into season 3.
Why? Who do we have here?
This is one of those experiences where, like, you sit down with somebody and you're like, man, we got her. We got her in the room, finally. You know what I mean? We got Miss Kiran Chawla with Kiran Unfiltered. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us today.
You're very welcome.
I know,
Thank you for having me.
It's difficult to deconflict schedules, especially with somebody as busy as you. But you know, we were able to kind of, what did we do, like 4 or 5 different rounds of does this day work? Does this day work?
I think me and Kiran had about 7 weeks of just texting back and forth. But that's the way God works, and she is now sitting in this room, and we get to pick her brain.
I'm so excited, man. And look, this is I'd never met Kiran until she walked in the door a couple of minutes ago. So this is going to be new and organic and unfiltered, right?
So the great thing is that Pat, whenever we had done for our other business, Front Porch, we had done some vests for the local PD around here as a donation, and Kiran's company that she owns did a spotlight on us. They're actually the only news agency to do a spotlight on us. Yep. So thankful for that. So I felt like I had an in. I was like, wait, I was like, I have an in with her. We did something great in the world. And what's funny is that whenever they did the spotlight on that, a lot of people were giving her so much praise of showing some good going out in the world. So I don't know. I felt like I could just reach out and see what happened. And guess what? I threw the pitch and we got her in here.
That's it, man. You got to shoot your shot. We talk about that sometimes. That's it. All right, look, we'll go ahead and kick it off, Kiran. We usually start by just letting people introduce themselves. Just tell us about yourself. Tell us a little bit about your business, a little bit about your backstory, your life, whatever. The floor is yours.
Sure. Name is Kiran Chawla, and I own Unfiltered with Kiran, the news you deserve, period. Unfiltered, period. I launched it on June the 9th of 2021, so we've been in business, almost a year and a half now, and we are 100% social media based. I've got about 20 years of experience in journalism, even though I'm only 21 years old. So, I started when I was 1. And I guess the rest is history.
Where was your backstory from school? Where you born and raised around here, or? I
was born in Jackson, Mississippi.
Okay.
So moved to Louisiana when I was 10 years old. I consider Louisiana home. From Slidell / New Orleans / Baton Rouge, worked in all those areas, lived in all those areas, and I've been in Baton Rouge 12 years now.
Okay.
And I'll be honest with you, when I first moved to Baton Rouge, being in journalism, you'd think you're going to take a job and serve your contract of 2 years, 3 years, and then move on up the ladder. And that's how it used to work. And after the first contract, I said, you know what? I like it. I like the city. I like the people. And I'm going to do one more. And one more turned into another, to another, to another, to me having launched my own company here now in Baton Rouge. So Baton Rouge is my home.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Love it. So have you always kind of had a passion for journalism or for investigating or like digging into kind of the things that are going on in the world, or where'd that come from?
Definitely. I've always said it that to me, investigations are like puzzles, and I am that nerd who loves puzzles. The big 1,000 pieces, the one that you want to pull your hair out with and you can't figure out what goes where. But it started, I think, that let's hold a powerful accountable. Well, how do you hold them accountable? It's not a simple go interview somebody. You need to get the documents and get a paper trail and prove that this person was in the wrong, and then go confront them that, hey, you did this. And it's like it just gets your adrenaline pumping to know that you got it. And
my heart's just started beating.
I know, man.
Because I understand, like I have a little bit of background in law and on the criminal side with I was in military police.
Okay.
So I was had a couple investigations while I was overseas and things like that. But I know that heart beating part when you're collecting stuff and like you get that piece and heart starts pumping. So
you got them.
You're bringing back some faint memories that I used to have back in the day. But I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
Were you in anything like the paper or anything like that in high school, or did you see that path then?
We didn't have that.
Okay.
We had a yearbook, but no, we didn't have a newspaper.
Okay.
There were no journalism classes in high school. In fact, I got in through an internship my senior year, which this is at WWL in New Orleans, which back then was like the golden egg. And I went to the internship coordinator in high school and I said, okay, you guys offer medical or teacher? And I said, I'm not interested in either of those. I said, I want to do journalism. And they told me, well, if you can figure it out, let us know. So I went to WWL and I said, I want to do this. And they said, we don't do high school internships. And I stayed on them. So they said, let's do a 2-week trial. And if News likes you and you like it, we'll make it happen. So I did 2 weeks and they came back afterwards and said, hey, they love you in News. If you want to stay, it's yours. So the rest.
She's always been a bulldog.
That's what I was about to say.
That's
That's a valuable characteristic, though. That's persistence. Like I always like try to pin the theme. That's like my thing. I think that's what I'm growing into in the show. The theme there is persistence, right? You were persistent. You knew what you wanted, and you were persistent in going to get it and make it happen. And that created opportunities for you.
Yep. Well, the way I look at it is when you do an internship your senior year of college, I'm not going to say it's a waste, but what if you decide at that point?
Yeah, it's almost too late.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What if you decide then, I don't like this? You've now already done all your classes and it is almost too late. So if I did it senior year of high school and I realized, okay, I do not like this. Now I have all my next 4 years to figure out, okay, what do I want to do? But I loved it. It's like Bill Capo told me this. He goes, that news bug bit you hard. And it did. I was sold and I've never turned around. I have been doing this since my senior year of high school. This is my 20th year. November of this year will make 20 years I've been in journalism.
You got to see the inner workings from a very young age.
Yes.
So that probably fueled your fire even more.
Yep.
Yeah, I love that. I'm trying to do that with my daughter. She wants to be in the sports medicine world, and so I've got some paths that I can put her on pretty early, physical therapy, sports medicine, athletic training, stuff like that. So I'm already trying to give her little tidbits of like, this is what you would be doing.
Yep.
And I'm blessed to have friends in those industries at LSU and some of these higher level jobs in sports medicine. So as she gets older, I'm trying to sprinkle it on her a little bit so she understands.
Good. That's the best
I don't
way.
want her to be that person at LSU that's changed her major 5 times
Exactly.
and wasting a lot of daddy's money in the process.
That's right. I want to go back a little bit. You talked about, kind of what drives you and what keeps kind of that fire burning in you is holding people accountable. I want to talk about that for a second. I think it's like finding and putting out just actual truth in the world seems to be an important thing for you. And Chase actually talked about it before you got here. We were just kind of going back and forth, just kind of shooting the breeze. And he was talking about like black is black, white is white. These are like things happen and there is fact in every situation. And I think, you talked about wanting to put puzzles together. You like finding those just objective truths and putting them out and allowing people to make their decisions based off of that.
That's the way I was taught. I've learned journalism from some of the best in the business. And I mean, these are legends back home in New Orleans. But even when you look here, look at the Donna Britts, look at the Pauls, look at George Sells. I mean, these are big names that Paul Gates, that name, if you dropped Paul Gates's name somewhere, it was like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. So when you've been able to watch people like that, you learn real journalism. And real journalism is 100% unbiased, facts only, and then let the public go from there. You're not supposed to sway anyone's decision or the public. You're not supposed to sway them into, look, this person did so bad. Do you agree with us? No, just put the facts out there and then
let them decide.
Yes.
Yeah, and I think as a society at large, we're getting away from that. And I don't know if it's like the polarization that's created from social media. I'm not sure. Like I watched, have you watched that documentary, The Social, what's it called? Golly.
Yes.
Yes.
It was
The Social,
weird.
what's it called? The Social
don't know
Network?
what it was
God, what was the
called.
name
I
of it?
watched it too, but I know what you're talking about.
I know what you mean. It's like almost social media controls you.
Well, they intentionally create that division to keep you on your device longer,
Yes.
right? And I think like we're all kind of falling victim to that.
Yeah,
The Social Network.
Wasn't it crazy that when you scroll and they don't feel like you've engaged enough, they're like, let me grab something and throw it in there. So it's almost. I got off my phone. Obviously, I went right back to it, but I did I was more cognizant at night when I'm just sitting there mindlessly doing this, and I'm like, I just clicked it off and went to doing something that actually stimulated my mind, other than a phone.
Well, I think where I was going with that is that I think as a society we need more people like you that are just willing to tell the truth and tell the facts without some type of agenda or
That's the
trying
thing,
to
man.
steer some kind of narrative or whatever.
It's the agenda.
And that's led you to a lot of success. And the reason I wanted to go down this path is because you being genuinely and authentic you and who you were raised to be and standing on your morals and standing on your values has allowed you to start Unfiltered totally on your own.
Yep.
Right? Because you were able to stand on your own principles and not have to worry about what somebody else had to say about what you wanted to put out in the world.
Yep.
And I think that tenacity and that that clarity on what you want your name to be associated with has allowed you to be successful in your business.
It really has. I am so blessed that I basically get to choose, but I also use my decades of experience that, hey, this is not a story. Or, for example, suicides. News does not cover suicide. It's out of a respect thing, and you do not do it. Or bomb threats or things like that, unless it's something major when it comes to a bomb threat that, hey, the news angle is the entire store is being evacuated or it's shut down. So you want the public to know, don't go here. And because we're telling you don't go here, it's because there is a possible bomb threat. But it's little things like that I've been able to, like you said, I've been in it for so long that I've worn so many hats, that I've worn the producer hat, I've worn the editor hat, the photography hat, assignment editors, to where I'm blessed that when it came to launch this, I will be honest with you, I was so scared that, do you even know what you're doing? And when I launched, I will tell you, I really thought we were going to do only investigations. That was the whole plan, that I am going to do only investigations. I'm going to use my YouTube channel. That's where my videos will go. And I'll launch my website for articles. Unfortunately, there was the incident October the 6th, which we're about to come up to a year now. October the 6th is when the ambush of the state police officer, Adam Gobert, happened, if you guys remember that.
I do.
Off of Airline at the Capitol One. And again, I am blessed with sources, but I broke the fact that a state police trooper had been found dead. I was first one out there. I was first to break it and confirm it when nobody else had it yet. And I think that's when all of a sudden I got on the map that, she started her own thing? Oh, and from there on it switched to where it's not going to be just investigations. The public wanted more. They wanted day of news. And the rest is history from there, that things kind of took off, but it's been a lot. I'm not going to lie. It's been hard trying to do it all And now I'm blessed that I actually have a team and we all believe in what we're doing, that we're loving what we do.
Do you ever feel like you have to deal with, and this to me would be kind of terrifying, do you ever feel like you have to deal with competition from people that are a lot bigger and a lot more powerful than you?
No.
You don't even think about it?
No.
I think that is what is one of the things that probably leads you to some success, right? Because I think in my mind, just the way that my mind works is that if I were in your position, I feel like I'd be fighting kind of this uphill battle, trying to compete with people that have been in the business for a long time, or people that have
the corporate juggernauts.
Yeah, the corporate juggernauts, the money behind them. And that to me would be very intimidating. So I love the fact that you said no, because it shows what your mindset is like.
Well, I'm not going to compare myself, because I look at me as, for a long while, it was just me. There's no way one little old me can handle every single thing, especially the days that there's breaking news happening in every single area. It wasn't possible. However, in the last almost 2 months or so, I still remember it was a Friday. Well, actually, I can tell you because we had a wedding the next day. August the 12th was a crazy day. It was breaking news non-stop. My little team, we killed it. I was so proud of the team. We killed it on every angle, from going and getting interviews with a sheriff to video and scene photos and information and facts. Our traffic went crazy, but we did our jobs. We didn't simply do clickbait or anything that, hey, there's a shooting. Okay. And to me, it's not about being first. It's about actually being accurate. So I might know there's a shooting at 4:00, but if I don't have facts and what actually happened, I'm not going with it till I have more details. Because to me, okay, the headline says everything then, so why do you need to click in it? And I guess that's the reason I don't compare, because there's no way I can sit here and try to compare myself to the networks.
Yeah.
How about just do me and let the rest just fall where it needs to?
So that goes back to something that we talk about a decent amount, and that's just like kind of blocking out the noise and focusing on the work. You know what I mean? Just doing you. And that seems like what you've done.
Yep.
Listening to your last, talking about the 12th of August, you work a lot. Right?
I do.
So, because I'm listening to it and I'm feeling it in my bones right now.
I get in trouble a lot.
So you work a lot, right?
I do.
What do you? Where's the balance up here? Where do you decompress at? How do you? And you have to have some of it, right? You have to have something somewhere. Because I struggle with trying to find it sometimes.
I do too, and I'm trying my best to get better. I mean, there have been times that I'm on a vacation, if you want to call it that. But the truth is I'm never off, because I can work from anywhere. I am remote, so as long as I have a phone in my hands, we're good. I can be connected to everything. And there are a lot of times that I think the last trip, my best friend came and surprised me, and she had rented one of those little tiki boat deals for a sunset cruise, and it was only 2 hours. I spent the first 45 minutes writing up a story. She was livid, but in my head, I had to justify it that nobody has this, and the people are counting on me, and I have to. And she understood. So it's one of those that she gets what I'm doing, but from inside, at what point do I realize, hey, sometimes you have to stop, and it's hard.
Because you're the CEO, the editor,
everything.
You're
the janitor.
Everything, yes.
Do you ever feel like mentally burnout? Like,
Yes.
is that a feeling that you get? How do you deal with it?
I don't know.
You just keep trucking, huh?
Yes. I don't know. I mean, my relaxation used to be painting. That was my getaway, or shopping. And I don't mean shopping like for clothes, just Remy and my little dog and I just getting out and going, I don't know, to a Lowe's or a Hobby Lobby, just get out. Or go take a walk. And the other day I thought about it. I paint oyster shells. I don't remember the last time I painted. There's no time. And when I do have time, all I want to do is just...
I can imagine
Just sit
the
every
brain
once in a while.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I ride in silence a lot.
Yeah,
do
me
that
too.
Just driving around.
I knew it. I knew I wasn't the only one.
I mean,
Nah,
I will
bro, I
say
do it
you're
too.
weird, but I'm kidding.
And there's people they'll get my truck and everything's off. And I start driving and they'll look at me and they're like, it's just silent. I'm thinking, my brain's going
Of
100 miles an
course.
hour. And they're just kind of sitting there and, they're just looking around. They're like, hey, you going to turn the radio on? And I'm like, oh yeah, sorry. I'll turn it on.
Majority of my phone calls, though, are made while I'm driving.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
To
do that a
return
lot, too.
phone calls is, hey, while I'm driving, let me call Billy Bob Joe back, or I've got a list of people I got to call back. Let me call them while I'm driving.
That's what happened Sunday when I texted you.
Yep.
I was driving. I was like, Kiran.
Yes. Yep.
You know what's so weird though? I've fallen in this trap sometimes because I do the same thing. Like, I still have a day job, and then we run the podcast, and then we run our front porch business on the side. So there are things like if you're consumed by your day job all day, like that hour you drive to and from work those are work hours as well, right? Yep. That I've noticed recently, like the days that I spend where I leave my day job and I immediately get on the phone, and I'm on the phone for the entire hour drive back to my house. When I get to my house, I feel kind of anxious by doing that. But on the days where I'm fortunate enough to just get in the truck and drive and kind of decompress from the day, I seem like I'm in a better mood at home.
Yep.
So that's a challenge, right? It's trying to carve out that kind of time to decompress a little bit before you go home to your family or whatever. People that are counting on you.
And I'm trying. Like this weekend, I told myself, okay, come on, you've got to take a break. And the gym is, for me, a big time relaxation. But there have been many a times that in the middle of a class, my phone will ring or the watch will ring, and it's the source. It's this person. This is happening, and I'll go sit in a corner, put it up, and then get right back to class. But
I just want to be a source.
I know. Me too.
Nick Torito and Area Home Lending, Louisiana's top choice for mortgages. If you're looking to buy, build, or refinance, they have you covered. Don't get fooled by one of those online or out-of-state banks. Nick and Area Home Lending are Louisiana-based and lend in all of Louisiana. From Lake Charles to Lafayette or all of Baton Rouge to New Orleans. If it's in this state, Nick and his team are local experts and ready to help. Your home is one of the biggest decisions and investments you will make in your life. With trust, commitment, and care, Nick will walk you through the process, step by step, making the hardest decision easy and ensuring the process is as simple and painless as possible. And with Nick, you'll find out that you're not only just another transaction or number on the list. He's invested in you, and you become family with his goal to create a relationship that will always be there. Area Home Lending has access to the best loan programs too, and with the lowest rate and fees, all while delivering exceptional customer service. Please give him a call today at 225-663-2500 or visit him on the web at www.areahomelending.com. I guarantee you, he will take great care of you. Nick Torito and Area Home Lending, a proud sponsor of Hustle Makes It Happen, the podcast.
Hey, y'all, if you're in the market for a real estate attorney that can handle all your title work needs, all your closing needs, all your succession needs, whatever your needs are in the real estate industry, look no further than our friends Shay Landry and the group at Milestone Title. Y'all, we use these guys for our personal business, and they have never let us down. They've been on top of the game every time we've used them. So whatever it is that you're looking for in the real estate industry, as far as a closing attorney or title work is concerned, check out our friends over at Milestone Title. Milestone Title, a proud sponsor of Hustle Makes It Happen, the podcast.
So I'm from Slidell, New Orleans area.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either until we got in this room.
Hey.
Yep. So some of your early mentors are probably people that I've seen growing up or that I knew. So what are some of those traits that they like pounded in you? Like, cause you're this young, like person coming up, you're doing internships. You where'd you go to college?
Loyola.
Okay. Yeah. Right by, I grew up all around there.
Okay.
So you're going to school, you're underneath these people's wings that are big names in the news industry in the New Orleans area. So what are they putting in your brain? What are you learning from them at that time that you've taken forth in your career now?
Old school journalism from the Bill Capos, Karen Swensons, Angela Hill, that you could look at Angela Hill walk in and the respect she garnered from her entire staff And when I say her staff, I mean her coworkers, was just amazing. That everybody respected her for who she was and what she was. And I say was, but she still is. And from the Karen Swensons, Dennis Waltering, Norman Robinson, like these are the big names. But when you get to work with them, they are so fun. They're down to earth. They're human beings. And I think we look at them as, oh my God, wait, I'm getting to work with these people.
Yeah.
But they're just hardcore journalists, and they got in and every day they did a job. And I guess what I learned from them was to just simply do your job and be yourself.
On some type of emotional level, like humans in general, like they want to be told the truth. You know what I mean? And people that are very good in journalism are very good in journalism because they are not afraid to tell people how things are and just tell the truth. And the reason I'm saying that is that like on some kind of emotional or intelligence level is because if you link it back to like at least my life, some of the people that I'm closest with are the people that are willing to tell me the truth about myself or tell me the truth about the situation. I mean, one of my best friends, he and I talk, almost every day, talk almost as much as me and Chase do, but he's not afraid to tell me if I'm doing something or acting a certain way that it's wrong or that there's probably a better way to approach a situation. So I think people have a pretty deep connection on some type of emotional or intelligence level with people that are honest and people that tell the truth, whether they want to hear it or not, whether the truth is pretty or ugly. But I think people that tell the truth are generally respected in society. And I don't think that's intentional.
It's a dopamine feel too, that when someone tells you, it triggers a certain side of the brain that releases endorphins that in your body too. Even though you may not like the truth sometimes.
Yeah.
It still is on a certain side of your brain that will make you feel a certain way about that.
Yeah. So maybe do you think that has something to do with like the following that you've gained with Kiran with Unfiltered, just because you've been able to tell the truth and people just enjoy being told facts?
I guess so. I credit a lot of my success to God. I feel like for so long I've just been myself. I mean, you can see I'm a tiny little person, and be yourself. Be it a flood, be it an investigation, be it a day of fun story or a hardcore story or breaking news. I think I've just done me. And if that means a live shot where just go off the cuff, I've rarely scripted live shots, which if you're going to say the or have pauses, that's natural. It's absolutely natural. You forget. I've been on a live shot and I have completely blanked out and I totally forgot what I was saying. I sat there and said it. I said, well, y'all, I completely drew a blank and what are we talking about here? And it happens. I probably made a fool out of myself. It was very early on in my profession and I was so embarrassed. But on the flip side, I was myself. And I feel like if you can we're living in a society where people are so sensitive, where we feel that we have to watch every little thing that is said, and not a feel, you almost do have to watch what you're being said because you're getting penalized for if you say this or that. And we're living in a society where everything's just very, very, very sensitive. Well, if you're just yourself, it is who you are. You can't change who you are.
Yeah, and there's no room for development in a society that's like that either.
Yes.
There's no room to grow as a person if everything somebody says to you offends you and you're not open to multiple mindsets or multiple points of view or whatever. There's zero room for growth in that type of environment. Wow. That's what I feel.
But I think that people, like listening to what we're saying right now and where we're going down, we're also, people are, they're teaching this whole individuality thing that like you can be you, and like they teach out the world, be you, but then it's like they want to put your foot on you after they tell you, go ahead, be you, be individual, be yourself, but don't say those things.
Yeah, but don't get out of line.
Like you can't. Yeah. It's like this double-edged sword.
Paradox.
Yes.
Yeah, you can't have both sides. You can't say go be you, authentically you, but don't say those things. It might offend somebody else.
Yeah,
like, and if that's what you feel, it may offend somebody because they don't think like you, but that's okay.
Yeah, I think that like multiple perspectives is like that's how people learn.
That's where
how
growth.
People grow.
That's where growth is.
Yep. Well, I don't think I've ever hidden the fact that I'm Indian. My mom and dad were immigrants of India at a very early age, so I'm very proud of my Indian heritage, the culture, the food, the traditions, and I've never hidden it. It's Diwali, or it's Holi, or it's Rakhi, which is a day for a brother and sister where a brother ties, the sister ties a little bracelet or a string or something to a brother, and the brother has to leave that on until it falls off. Well, it's symbolizing a brother and sister's relationship. But it's things like that that I get to use my platform also to teach people about a different culture, about their ways. Because I feel like also in today's day and age, it's not that people don't want to learn, they don't have the opportunity to learn. When people try Indian food, they're sitting there saying, oh my God, this is delicious, but I would have never thought to try that. So if I cook Indian food at home, I'll snap a quick photo
and I'm coming knocking.
Come on. Come
so
on.
in New Orleans and in Slidell, like two of my best friends growing up, they were Hindu, and their lifestyle, because I was so close to them, was just something that I was just used to. Mm-hmm. Shoes come off when you walk in the door. The religious deities were around their house. I ate curry 2-3 times a week. Their lifestyle was not pressed on me, but I was around it a lot.
Exactly.
Yeah, exposed to it.
So you're yes.
So that was normal to me. And then, I had a mixed best friend that was gay in the 90s when that was like super taboo still.
Yep.
But
you were exposed to it.
I was exposed to all. We had this big melting pot in New Orleans of people and color,
yes.
race. And I know that media puts that dividing now, where it's black, it's white. Like, we didn't feel any of that.
No, especially in New Orleans.
I did not grow up feeling this. Like, that was my brother.
Yep.
White, black, Asian, dark, brown, didn't matter.
Yep.
And, when I moved away in the military and then now living in other cities, like, I see the divide more. And I see, like, people culture of growing up, and I'll listen to their lingo, and I'm like, man, ain't nobody would talk like that in New Orleans.
Yep.
Like,
New Orleans, I've always called it the Southern melting pot.
Yeah, but listening to, like, now I live here in Denham Springs, people that have been raised here their whole life, I listen to the way that they talk about their upbringing, and I'm like, man, that wouldn't fly in New Orleans at all.
Nope.
Like, I was around everybody.
And when I first moved here, I remember saying, wow, it's only 90 miles apart, but it feels like it's a completely different country. Yeah. I mean,
so
granted,
I feel the same way.
Granted, now, like, the crime's so bad in New Orleans that people avoid it at all costs. But when I lived there, it's one of those that you had to have been there to know it. And I agree. It was a Southern melting pot that it felt like almost a Southern New York. Everybody belonged.
Yep. Yeah. And listening to other people talk, that's why sometimes it's like, I'm like, no, I didn't feel that. I talk to a lot of guys at work, all different races and cultures, and I'm like, it's different for me looking at the perspective from back here because I grew up different than a lot of people that are very based around this area. Yep. And I felt a little different. But it's cool to know that some of your early influences in news or some of the people. So you took a lot. You knew, were you cognizant in those times? Like, I'm going to soak in as much from these people as I can.
No. I had no idea where my future was going.
It's just the exposure to them.
Yep.
Yeah. And then looking back at it.
It was the biggest blessing.
Yep.
It really, really was.
We talk about mentorship on the show. Really, the whole idea, the premise, the name of the show, everything is the result of a mentor-mentee relationship that I had whenever I was in high school. So we talk a lot about how important mentors are in your life. And I think you could have more, a mentor's effect can be amplified if the mentee recognizes it early as a mentor-mentee relationship, because then you can kind of guide it and steer it that way. Yep. It happens organically anyway, right? You're just exposed to these people and you're soaking things up from them, whether you're conscious of it or not. But I really, really believe in the value of identifying somebody that's doing what you want to do and, calling it what it is, telling the truth. Like, you are a mentor to me. I want you to teach me everything you can. Yep. And then I think you can just pull a little bit more out of people that way.
It's like being a sponge. I mean, I remember when we had interns, there are still interns I had that I keep in touch with today. And I mean, I was rough. But that's how I was. Or when I was an intern, when I was my senior year of high school, and Bill Capo just handed me a mic one day and said, "You're doing a stand-up." And I said,
Go do
what?
the news.
Yeah, he goes, "You're doing a stand-up." And I was like, well, what? And so here he is thinking, okay, there's this timid little girl, and I'm going to give her a mic, and she's going to be all quiet and this and da-da-da-da. So he tells me, he goes, "You have 5 minutes to figure out what you want to say." He gives me the mic, and we press go, and out came this reporter boldness, and he goes, "Who are you?" And I don't know. I just came alive. But till this day, I've always tried to give back what Bill Capo gave to me.
You probably remember that moment.
I do.
Like it's clear as day.
I do.
I'm telling you, that
he
mentor,
gave me a copy of that tape, and he said, "You're going to keep this tape for yourself."
Yeah, that mentor relationship is extraordinarily powerful.
Yep.
Are
It
you
really is.
you cognizant now that
People look to you as a mentor.
You're the mentor now?
Yes, and that's a huge blessing. It really is. And even when I worked at my former employer, any intern I had, I mean, like I said, I was a little hard with them, but only to push them, for them to find out who the real them was. Instead of giving you 3 days to turn a script, which that's not the real world. You sometimes get back at 2 o'clock and you have to be on that 5 o'clock. You have a quick turnaround. And I didn't do it in the first week, but towards the end, you had to start turning a package real time with me. And if the script didn't make sense, I'd rip you to pieces. But I did it for their betterment. And I have interns till this day. One of them just moved back to New Orleans at WDSU, and I still keep in touch with them. And they say everything you taught me back then means the world. And I feel like I gave back a little bit of what Bill Capo gave to me.
That's fulfilling too.
It
Isn't
is.
Yeah, it's super fulfilling.
Yep.
And now you're building your own team.
Yes.
So you get to really groom the style
Yep.
and the traits that you want in your team.
Yep.
Which is, I love when we talked earlier offset. You said, I get to do what I want.
Yep.
And that is so powerful in the world that we have today. You're the ship. You're driving it.
Yep.
Whatever you want Unfiltered to be like, it's yours.
Yep. Yep.
But the cool thing is there's millions of people that get to take in what you're doing.
That's the best
Isn't that
feeling.
Yeah.
It really is.
It's got to be.
We're slowly but surely growing, and we're all organic. And when I say that, I mean like that. I'm not advertising yet. So it's all social media based. It's all, hey, we have an app. It's all social media that, hey, don't forget, download the app. It's amazing.
What are some of the internal traits that it's not like giving a pat on your back, but like what traits do you think that you possess that lead you to the success that you've gotten to in your news careers?
Be yourself.
Just being authentically you.
100% you. I mean, I don't remember what the case was, but I remember standing outside the EBR Parish Jail. You can tell I'm not a very tall person. It's been joked about for the longest, and it bothered me. When I was a kid, maybe your weight, you can somewhat control it. I can't control my height. I wish I could.
Me too.
So you can put on heels, and the younger me would always put on heels that I can't be short. Now you're going to find me in tennis shoes 95% of the time because I don't care anymore. I am who I am regardless how tall or short I am. So I still remember we were at the East Baton Rouge Parish Prison, and there was a big press conference that was about to happen. We were carrying it live. So the lawyer walks out, and we were all set up way back here. If you're familiar, like there's a big ditch where the parking lot is. So we're all set up behind it. Well, the press conference ended up, if you want to call it an impromptu press conference, the lawyer walks up. We were live. I guess other people weren't, so they just walked right up to him. Well, we're still carrying it live. And I said, hold on, there's a press conference. Let's see if we can get to the lawyer real quick. Well, I just walked right through the ditch. I had on flip-flops with my dress or whatever, as short as I am. I just squeezed right through everybody and stuck my mic right up there. And when I got back, the joke was, it's like you were there 1 second, the next minute you're gone, but then all of a sudden you could hear him because I had the mic in my hands. You couldn't see him. But it's little things like that I remember because I'm short. I was able to just squeeze right in somewhere. So be yourself in a sense of be proud even if you're short. Because guess what? I can stand up in a plane when others cannot.
When did you come to that realization? Like, did something happen in your life, or did you just kind of develop that mindset over time?
I think that incident.
That was the incident?
That incident.
Like, who's short now?
Exactly. That incident made me realize, like, okay, if I was 6'1" or whatever, I wouldn't be able to just squeeze right in because now I'm blocking everybody else behind me. But because I'm so tiny, I was able to just squeeze right in and probably stand tall without blocking anybody's view. So again, be proud of who you are. It's okay if people are that much taller than you. It doesn't change my heart. It doesn't change my work ethics. It doesn't change anything about me.
I think a lot of people struggle with that mentality too. I think a lot of people are afraid that if they're themselves or if they act, if they don't kind of conform, we were talking about this a while ago. I love how it all feeds back together. But like, if people don't conform, that other people are going to feel a certain way about them, or if somebody's courageous enough to kind of step out of line a little bit, that the world is just going to kind of bully them back into line. What do you say to those kind of people?
Don't listen to the noise. Be who you are. I'll repeatedly say that.
It's the same theme.
Yeah.
I love it.
Be yourself. There's nothing wrong with being yourself.
When you look at success, and I think I already know the answer, but I want to ask it. When you look at success, do you find yourself right now where you're at and what you've done to be successful?
I'm not going to say yes. I know that sounds weird, but
it's okay. I've heard many answers, but when you think about success, is it more of a feeling or is it something about like checking off a box?
It's a feeling, and yes and no. Like, yes, we're successful, we're doing well, but I feel like there's a lot more for me to go.
I knew that was going to happen.
Yeah, look, and this is
I knew the answer to that.
It's so common with people that have the drive that you have. Is like, because I think we experience it to some degree as well. Like, whenever you achieve some level of success, it almost becomes a challenge against yourself at that point. And that's, I think, when you get really, really powerful.
Yes.
Is now you're not competing with anybody else but yourself.
It's like people ask me, where do you see yourself in 5 years? I'm not focused on 5 years anymore. I am focused by the end of the year. I have goals for myself that I want to hit, for my company I want to hit. I have goals that by January 1st, I want to make sure I can start this or start that. My goal for the 1-year anniversary was to celebrate. I made it. This was nothing more than an idea in my head. And look at where we are today. So for the 1-year anniversary, I wanted to do it big and open it up to the public. And I did do that. I celebrated with this huge cake with a big 1 on it. And that felt amazing because I was able to do that. Then to win a national award and be the only media entity in Louisiana to be represented in the state to win a national Edward R. Murrow, I don't think that's sunk in for me just yet that, wait, what? This actually happened? And until maybe I'm at the banquet, until I have that award in my hands, it's not going to sink in. And I know that should be, hey, you are successful. But in my head, there's still so much more to do and so much more I want to do.
Yeah, that's a theme we find. That's a theme that we found with people that are highly successful, is that they compete with themselves. And it's not because they like what they're doing. It's not because they look at what they're doing right now and saying that's not good enough, but they look at what they've done to that point and then say, what else can I do? Yep. You know, what more am I capable of? You know, and I think that is the ticket that differentiates people that are kind of mediocre and people that are really successful. Is you just want to know what you're capable of. Find your own personal limits. You know what I mean?
And the way I look at it is, if it doesn't work, oh well. I tried. At
That's
least
right.
I gave it a shot.
That's an excellent segue into something we talk about often too, is obstacles. So whenever you run into an obstacle in your business or in your life, what does that do to you mentally, and how do you focus on it? How do you tackle it? Like, what are some of the things that you do personally to overcome obstacles?
I go at it that much harder. When someone says no to me, in my head, I'm thinking, watch.
For me, like, listening, this is bred in you, like, internally.
It is. It does. In fact, as I just answered that in my head, I'm thinking, do you think like that? It's not that thought process. It's just, it's in my
It's in your DNA.
Yes,
yeah.
that's what
it's not even a decision you're making. It's just a
No.
subconscious.
It's hardwired.
Yeah.
It is. Because listening, it's like I want to tell people, you know, if you have that child that is they're this little investigator, or they're always trying to dig for the truth and this, and it's almost like it might be just how, you know, you don't want to break that mold of them. You know, some people are like, no, don't do that. Don't. And I'm not meaning like a small child, but I'm talking about when they get like, you know, higher adolescent age and stuff like that. It's like that might be the hardwire that's in their body, and that's what they're going after. It makes me more cognizant. Like if one of my kids goes that right, just be like, got to put you in the news, bud.
Yeah, you got to do it.
Got to put you in the news, bud. You got it.
Well, look, that's kind of a funny conversation. We're going way off the rail now, and that's fine. But what you just said reminded me of my own son. Like he's 2, right? He's 2.5. He's about to turn 3, but he's so like explorative and wants to like be out of kind of away from everybody. And I don't want to get in the habit of like pulling him back and restraining him. You know what I mean? And people have told me before, like, you need to get that boy under control. Like, hold on, bro. I'm curious to see where he's going to go and what he's going to do with his life. So I'm like giving him the freedom to express his own personality traits. Not when he's disrespectful, like we'll handle that kind of stuff. But that's so funny. Like I think people are hardwired with certain tendencies, and I think capitalizing on whatever those tendencies are is what leads to some success.
I hope that the media and news, I hope people that have the traits like you keep going into news.
Yeah.
Because I feel like some of it now is just, I call them talking heads.
Yeah, but stovepipe of information.
Yeah, but it's just there. You're just there reading a script, doing a job. Like, I don't think that you look at your career that way.
I don't.
And I hope
I love what I do.
Yes, I hope that more people that have your traits and tendencies go into news, because I feel like what that will offer society, and it will help break some of these social barriers that are out there that have been put in place more and more each year. And I feel like,
and I'll say this, that news is a very difficult profession. It's hard. It is really hard work, and you have to be in it for a while to learn. I remember this. We were in New Roads, and it was 6:30 by the time we wrapped up. We had live shots at 5 and 6 o'clock, and a reporter from another station said, I guess I got to cancel my date tonight. And it was a Thursday night, and I said, first time date? He goes, yep. Well, you just set a bad example, because that person, the girl, is probably thinking, great, he stood me up, but it's the profession that technically forced him, because he had live shots at 5 and 6. What's he supposed to tell his boss? No, I can't. I have a date at 7 o'clock.
Right.
So this profession is really hard on your family. You work every hurricane, any big tragedy, when people are shutting down, schools are closed or whatnot. You're out there. I've covered many of these, from hurricanes and BP oil spill and the ambush or whatnot. I've been there for a lot of these, and the money is really bad. It's terrible pay, but I love what I do again. So if you can go to work every single day and be happy doing what you're doing, it's never going to feel like a job.
Yeah.
Yeah, and look, people say that often, and really before we started doing this show, I would hear that, and I'm like, yeah, whatever. Like,
now you believe it, huh?
I totally 100% believe it. And really doing this and doing land development with Chase has kind of opened my eyes to that, because I was like, man, that's crap. Like, you can't do what makes you happy. You got to do what puts food on the table. And I did it for 10 years.
Yep.
10 years I was inside the gates of a prison, for not a literal prison, but what I considered to be a prison, for 12 hours a day.
Exactly.
And did it put food on the table? Hell yeah, it did.
But were you miserable?
I was absolutely miserable.
There you go.
And like changing the mindset, focusing on the things that are important in life, like setting priorities and focusing on being fulfilled and happy, has completely changed my life.
Yep.
I mean, completely.
Yep.
So that's just a lesson to show that you can really be averse to something. You know what I mean? I would hear everybody that I've ever talked to that was successful has always said, you got to be happy doing what you're doing. And my like hard-headed ass was like, nah, bro, whatever. You got to do what puts money in the bank. You got to do what puts food on the table. And that's literally the way that I thought about it.
But if you can make them both happen, and you know what I've learned is that you don't have to make millions of dollars a year to be happy.
That's right. That's right.
Money does not buy happiness. I'm not going to sit here and say we're making millions of dollars. We don't charge for our subscriptions. There is no fee for the app. There's no fee for being on our website. We are running solely on advertisers, donations, and people buying our merchandise or Patreon or things like that. But it's working.
That's right. And you're able to do something that you're so passionate about and have spent the last 2 decades building and sharpening the skills for.
Yep.
And that's dangerous.
I'm excited. So we talk about something sometimes personally. We haven't brought it up on the show a lot, but we talk about, working in the business and then working on the business, right? That's two different things, but you don't have that option.
I don't.
And
there are days like yesterday, I have finally had to take a day and just work on the business.
Right.
I could not work. I don't think I wrote. No, I did. I wrote a shooting and late in the evening, but earlier in the day I had to take care of things that I went from being a reporter. Now all of a sudden I'm a boss.
Yeah.
I'm the CFO. I'm the CEO.
Outside salesperson.
Yes.
So
and
that's something that I feel like we tussle with sometimes because, and us, but probably a lot of other entrepreneurs, and then even people that are listening to the show, because sometimes we're like, in order to grow the business, we can't be in the business. But I feel like if I'm absent from being in the business the way that I want it ran, like it doesn't get done the way
No, you're right.
to my expectations and the way that it needs to be done in order, I feel, to achieve success. Now, maybe I get to that point where you can groom somebody perfectly to navigate like that, but I feel like, maybe these big CEOs of these huge corporate entities, but we're not a huge corporate entity. We got to be in the business sometimes. It's what I'm learning more, not be in the trenches all the time, because you got to sometimes give yourself time to be able to work on the business and have some people in place that can help that. But I don't ever think I want to be fully absent where I'm just like sitting at the top, like
no
mailbox money.
I can't do that.
Yeah, I need to be navigating some of that myself.
Yep.
It's part of the thrill of the ride too. Like it's part of the challenge. It's part of the fulfillment, I think.
Yep. And now that I have staff, I try to be very cognizant of the fact that don't micromanage them. Guide them. There's a big difference between that. Don't micromanage, but maybe guide their path of, hey, we need to focus on this, we need to do that. But I never, ever, ever want to micromanage my crew.
Katie Benton Thompson is your local trusted realtor. Born and bred in real estate as a third-generation realtor, she deals with developments from lots and to houses. Katie was raised building the parish of Livingston. Her family roots have grown this parish for the last 30 years. This environment has educated Katie in all areas of real estate. I can tell you from personal experience, Katie Benton Thompson is a hustler in every way. She is constantly digging her heels in to give her clients the best buying or selling experience she can. Give Mandy Benton Realty Group a call and ask for Katie Benton Thompson at 225-953-0677.
Yeah, and that's just leadership and influence, right? You want to influence their behavior. You don't want to force it. You want to give them tips and mold them into the person that you ultimately want them to become, which is my personal definition of leadership. That's I always say, I'm in the Army, so every Army officer class, it seems like we go to ask what your definition of leadership is, and mine's always getting other people to do what you want them to do, but making them think that it was their idea because you've planted the seeds on the back end to influence their decision making, right? That's leadership.
Yep.
I don't know.
I don't think you can be a good leader unless you have good traits.
That's right. Yeah, totally.
Because there's some people in some leadership roles that they're not good people.
No. Those aren't leaders, buddy. Those are bosses, and there's a huge difference.
That's right.
Huge difference.
Yep.
Oh man, Kiran, I don't want to stretch out and waste any more of your time than I feel like we've already wasted.
Didn't waste my time. I appreciate you guys. I do want to say one thing before we wrap up.
Go for it.
I am who I am today thanks to my fan base, my support group, and I cannot thank the people enough. And I don't mean just Denham and Livingston Parish. I mean everybody. I am so blessed, and I will repeatedly say that I am who I am today thanks to y'all's support. And if I didn't have their support, y'all's support, I wouldn't be who I am, and I wouldn't be where I am today.
Yeah,
So,
I totally feel
thank you.
that. Totally feel that.
I would say I'm the end user of your product, because I get to see what you put out and what you're doing. I can't wait to see what you're doing next. As a fan and as I love the product that you're putting out, I'm excited to see where your company and your channel and everything goes. Give a little plug to your channels.
I will. It is, okay, let's see. We've got the YouTube channel, which is used for mainly videos. That's Unfiltered with Kiran. I believe the majority of everything is Unfiltered with Kiran. It's going to be on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. I think that's a little of everything. Obviously, the website, unfilteredwithkiran.com, and the app, Unfiltered with Kiran. So I think the theme is Unfiltered with Kiran.
I think
Good and universal. Nailed it. All the social handles were available. It's perfect.
Yes. And obviously, I mean, we've got everything posted to the Facebook page, all the channels and how to find everything. But the app is on both the Apple Store and the Android Store. And then the website's available to every single person from a phone, a computer, a tablet, whatever you want to do.
Give us a closing thought. What you want to say?
The sky is the limit. And never be afraid to get back up. The way I look at it is the rug's going to be pulled out from beneath you 1,000 times in life. Be it a relationship, be it a job, be it whatever. But if you can stand back up, to me, that's the true test. And I'll steal a few words from Cody Johnson when I heard that song first come out, that if you got a chance, take it. If you got a dream, chase it, because the dream won't chase you back. What? Did you write that song for me? Well, I had a chance and I took it. I had a dream and I chased it because that dream wasn't going to chase me. So don't be afraid. If you have an idea, go for it. What's the worst that could happen? It doesn't work out? Oh, well, pick up and start something over.
It's okay to fail.
Yes, it is.
Learn from it. And
heck yeah. It's fine. It's fine to fall.
I love it. I love doing this.
Me too. Man. I want to do this forever. Full time. That's where we're headed.
And that's possible.
I know. Everything's possible.
Yes.
You got to put the work in to get it, though. You got to hustle to
That's
make it
it.
happen. That's what we say.
There you go.
You got anything?
No.
I think I just shut him up.
Yeah, no. Just,
Well, you floored him. That happens often in this room.
No, it does. It does. Listening to people that are like-minded and cut from the same cloth to you is humbling. You get to learn things about people that, you wouldn't normally just sit in a room. Like, I'm not going to just come to your news station and be like, hey, Kiran, do you want to sit down with me for an hour and just talk life? But here, it manifests, and then people get to listen to your story, and they're going to take – one person is going to take away a little bit
I hope so.
of information for themselves, because I get texts all the time from our viewers. I mean, and they're like, I love what this person said. I love what that person said. And it just makes you know that you're doing the right thing.
Yep.
That's
It's
it.
that Pavlov's dog thing. Like, you get that one little treat, and you're like, oh, okay, good. We're doing this right.
Yep.
Let's continue to do it.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
And I thank you guys for what you're doing, because you're giving people like me the platform to reach others who maybe there is somebody out there who's been sitting here and toying with the idea of, man, I really want to do this, but I don't know if it's going to make money. Maybe hearing this story of my story will make them say, screw it. I'm just going to go for it and let the pieces fall where they may.
That's it. That's the whole purpose of this whole thing, is giving people the tools and the motivation and the mindset that it takes to become a winner.
Yep.
Go check out Unfiltered with Kiran.
That's it, guys. Look, if you're a new viewer and you get some value out of the podcast, come back. Come back and get some more. It's like a drug. I'm telling you. Come back and get some more. Tell your friends. Pass it out like candy. If you're a long-term viewer of our show, we got to ask you a favor. Please go on iTunes or on Apple Podcast, or go on Spotify or whatever platform you watch your podcast on, and leave us a review. It would really help us out a lot. Our website, www.hustlemakesithappen.com, is up audio, video, all that is there. You can watch all of our episodes on the website if you don't want to go through the social media channels. Totally your call. Our merch store is there. We got our t-shirts, some water bottles. We're going to try to add to that over the course of season 3, so be on the lookout for that. YouTube, please, if you're watching the show routinely, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and hit the little bell icon at the bottom of the YouTube channel so you get notifications whenever we drop new content. That's all that podcast plug stuff. The obligatory podcast plug.
And also tune in for your first weekly sprint soon.
Yeah, that's going to drop on Friday. We're going to drop our first weekly sprint on Friday, and we're going to start dropping those every Friday. The weekly sprints are going to be little bite-sized chunks of content for you to take you from Friday to the next Tuesday.
And they will be themed.
That's right.
They will be themed for a little characteristic or a topic of the mental mindset.
Yeah, and look, if you guys have suggestions for other topics that you want us to cover or talk about, let us know. Shoot us those in a Facebook message or an email, Instagram, whatever. Just reach out to us, give us some questions, comment on Facebook, whatever. Just get a hold of us somehow, and we'll start incorporating some of your questions or topics into some of our discussions. So that's it. Anything else?
Go for it.
All right, guys, that's it. It's another episode of Hustle Makes It Happen, the podcast. Remember, until next time, keep your head down, keep your eye on the ball. Hustle makes it happen, but most importantly, have fun. Later.